That means I am greatness under no stipulation.
Now, did you change that to say I am greatness, or that means? Did you always say I am?
No.
Or did you say that means? You said that means, right?
That means I am greatness under no stipulation.
She says that all the time.
It's the I am that I'm not familiar with. I don't remember hearing that. I just want to know if you added that.
Well, she went and had a conversation with Nikki Giovanni. Leave her alone. She's ego tripping.
Well, she can be I am that I am. I am.
That's my Angela.
That I am.
You know what?
I am.
You just remember you Dr. Biz.
Niz.
Niz.
To make sure that
Don't make sure I'm doing anything.
Accord. You have to be in harmonious.
No, if you
sync.
own a cord, you're going to fall off. Now, we can be with a cord. With one accord. No, not that chord.
What? That's not a chord?
Oh. You're going to get beat with a chord. And we have with us.
Y'all heard that, right? Witnesses. If I show up battered and bruised, family, that's right. This one over here.
He asked for it.
This one over here.
He
I'm
asked
just
for
saying.
it.
But she didn't say she was going to beat him with the cord. She said
pay
he
somebody
would
to
get
beat me.
with
That's
the
wrong.
cord.
Hey, but like, what's your name?
But if she was
Bizness.
nowhere in the vicinity in the state of North Carolina, wait a minute.
Papa, what's your name? Bizness. Bizness. Papa, what's your name? Toby.
Right.
My name be Toby. Honey Bear. Honey Bear. That's Honey Bear. That's his nickname.
Oh.
He wanted to be a stripper with a name like Black Diamond. I said that's more like Honey Bear. Ain't no Black Diamond.
First, wait a minute, okay, because I am that person. If I see a stripper named Black Diamond, I was like, oh, you're a child molester. Because all I was thinking about the little kids in Africa, they had to go to pick the diamonds. Like, that's not sexual. Like, that's not something that's going to make me be like, oh, no, it's going to make me like, oh, Jesus, no.
Well, that's why he Honey Bear.
Big Thunder?
Honey Bear.
I'm going to leave that alone. I am Mattie Simone, the one and only.
EJ is like, nope, not today, Satan, not today.
I am Mattie Simone, the one and only, the hostess of the mostest, the Salon After Dark. I don't know. I just messed all that all up because of him and his Dark Thunder. But anyways, yes, I am Mattie, the host of Salon After Dark on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WDRBmedia, the voice of the community.
And I'm EJ, host of the I Am Me show, which airs Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do I got to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, that's me.
Right. So what's real funny is if you had to, you literally just ask permission on national air.
Do I really?
No,
I said all this other stuff.
Because I forgot for a split second. So I had to throw in a filler real quick.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's all.
You good, EJ.
It's good training. That's good training. It's good training.
So,
Okay.
EJ, let me ask you a question. So, after people listen or come to the salon at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, what do they hear at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday whenever they come to I Am?
Well, they hear motivation. They hear thinking outside of the box of what society put them in. Mm-hmm. Because, from my own life, I've learned from what I watch on TV to who I hang around to where I go to school. Mm-hmm. It kind of shaped me into being able to think a certain type of way about myself and what I'm able to do, what I'm able to achieve, and my goals as a person. And growing up how I did and where I did, it was kind of bleak compared to other kids.
Where was this?
Earl Village. I don't know if y'all been from Charlotte long enough to remember Earl Village and Piedmont Courts and stuff like that. That was.
Wait a minute, EJ. You said, I don't know if y'all been here long enough. This is all about, it's the hood. It's the hood.
It's the hood. It's the hood. Like, it's the hood. So, growing up, growing up like that, our options, what we thought were different from some of the other kids who we went to school with that stayed like out in the Providence area, what you would call Valentine. Excuse me, did I say Valentine?
Valentine.
Okay,
yeah.
I said Valentine. Valentine.
Okay.
Our options.
You had number one, number two.
You keep talking, EJ. Don't hate Dr. Thunder over here.
Don't worry about that.
Huggy man, leave him alone.
You just not ask that lady.
She asked for permission to go to the bathroom. I need to know if it's number one or number
First off,
two.
wait a minute. So,
I need-
for y'all at home, she didn't want her business all over the camera. So,
If she doing number two, then that lets us know our
how much
time
time
frame.
we got
have to
and
make
stuff.
it stretch
so
out.
we got to be professional.
Like, was it
EJ,
Taco
anyway, so
Bell
getting
night
back
or
to
was it a weekend night?
shut up, Taco Bell. What?
You gotta have a time in her head.
Don't be burritos for you, baby.
You
Oh,
know.
it's not
Hey, yo, pinch it off that man. Come on. We
Tip
got
it
to
off
wrap
and come
up.
on back.
turtle.
I'm taking a breath.
Okay, look here. Wait a minute. Hold on. We were on 485 coming back around because it was in Valentine. Go ahead. Come back, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like I was saying, you know, growing up, we were trained by society to think differently than most other kids from other areas, and this is not just in Charlotte. This is
Everywhere.
everywhere. You know, from what we watch on TV to the messages we get from our parents. Because I know when I was young, my parents just told me go to school and get a job. You know, I didn't get that entrepreneur type of teaching from my parents.
Absolutely.
You know, just go to school, don't get in trouble, go get a job. You know,
But in the hood, that's a good thing.
no,
Because the
it's-
entrepreneurial endeavors that took
well,
place
hey.
in the hood.
You're
Hey.
right. You're right.
Exactly.
Hey.
So we didn't want you to be an entrepreneur
Wait a
in
minute,
the
That's
hood.
right, but at the same time, though, you know what? So just grow up and work for somebody else somewhere where you don't want to be doing what you don't want to do just to say you have a job.
Right.
So why
You
can't
know-
Hannah treat you well?
No.
Nah, not better than I can treat myself.
He'll give you
Absolutely.
3 squares a day.
That's not well. You don't want to be treated like
At the
that.
club and get told when to take showers and
You can ask a homeless man. You can ask a homeless man. They'd rather be on the streets free homeless than being treated well by the quote unquote white man in them.
Yes.
But how do we beat the stigma? Because we're taught, you ain't nobody, you ain't never gonna be nobody, you just like your daddy, you ain't never gonna have nothing, you wretch undone, you this, you that. So this is what we're hearing, ironically, not only from the world, but from our own people.
But where did that?
So how do we break that cycle as a child growing up hearing this? At what point do we
you
get
step
to the point
aside?
to say, well, you know what? I'm fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. I'm the head. I'm not the tail. I can take the world. I can take the world by storm. I can change my own destiny. And
Well, you know, you have everybody trying to tell a child what they should be doing instead of doing what will.
beat a child. Beat a child.
No. You have to show a child. You have to show a child with your actions. I can't tell my son, look, son, you don't need to go to work. You can work for yourself. You can be an entrepreneur. But he see me every day doing the same
McDonald's.
thing that I'm telling him he shouldn't be doing. Whether that's, doing drugs or whatever. I can't tell my child, look, you shouldn't be smoking. But every time you turn around, you see
You
me
lighting up a
smoking.
joint. Yeah.
See this boy? This is bad for you. Don't take this no more. Okay?
Somewhere along the lines of these generations, we lost touch with each other. It's like the older generation is now afraid of the youth. You have no more grandmothers sitting on the porch.
Yeah, you don't have.
Wait a minute.
No, it's
no,
not
hold on. That's because the youth of today have, and I'm a personal believer, have too much freedom. Way too much freedom and have too much
I do.
liberties.
I absolutely agree.
And so where we came from, where it was you got your butt toe up. You were taught by example also, and you were led by example. It wasn't do as I say and not as I do. It was we gonna go out here and you gonna get in this garden in the summertime at your grandparents' house and you're gonna pick this fruit and these vegetables and do these things so that you know that you can do this.
And we're not dropping our kids off at church and going back home or going to the club. Mama and them were in church with us.
With you,
and
right.
saying, Mom, can we go now? And
So-
they up there catching the Holy Ghost. So they were actually doing it with us, living it with us.
Because somebody threw
So
it at
we're
Pretty
along
much.
from our times to now. When did that stop happening? Because like I noticed that you said, well, the kids, But us as adults, we got to take some responsibility ourselves for this too.
That's true.
But we don't beat them.
Right? No.
Train up a child in the way that they should
You
go.
don't have
and
to
way
beat a
they
child. You don't have to beat a child.
Right.
And when I say beat, I'm talking about beat it into them.
Yeah, okay.
Not physically
Okay.
beat them,
Okay.
but beat into their spirit, into their mind, what it is that they need to do, where they need to go, how they. We don't train anymore. The older women are supposed to train the younger women. It's supposed to sit at the feet of. We don't do that anymore because the older women are in the club with the younger woman because we just want to be friends.
And
You ain't being a mama no more. You want to be a friend, not a mama.
But some of the older women, I think where it's gotten lost at, it's not just the adults, it is our society and our economic growth.
Yeah.
Before, having a farmland was fine and you could eat off the land, but now we're in these concrete jungles and the cost of living is higher. So instead of the one job, now I gotta have two jobs and a part-time job on the side, and where there used to be family time at dinner, there's drive-throughs. Our society and our desire, everybody, every
it's
human
across the
being
board.
had a desire for growth and expansion and to make life easier. Hence, fast food came along. So instead of the sit down, my family, we had dinner together.
Yes.
Like literally, we set tables and my mama cooked a full course Thanksgiving meal and we all sat there and ate it and don't get up and leave none of that food. Like nothing went to waste. But now
and
we're
here's
in.
the question: with or without the cell phone?
Oh, hold on. I was saying, at that point,
Exactly.
you had that one phone in the kitchen that had the extra long cord. That if you wanted to walk around the house, you had to go over and under everybody.
Let me tell you, if it rang while we at dinner, I wish you would get up. There was no movement, but because we became a society and a culture as Americans, we wanted bigger, badder, faster, stronger, taller, richer. That required to work more in order to be able to accomplish this. So that took us a. Hey,
I was thinking about that. Bigger, stronger,
That's the next
taller,
thing.
richer.
That's the next segment.
Not
We'll talk
Dark Thunder.
We'll talk about
Not
interest
Huggy Bear.
on the next segment. We'll talk about
But you know,
interest
and
on
I
the
agree
next
with what you're
segment.
saying, and I also I piggyback off of that where people now, because we get smarter, but we get weaker but wiser, and we look at things, and we're in a community in a society where we break everything down. Because I remember having this conversation in the salon with one of my clients. You remember back in the day, it was to be seen and not heard. And people were like, that's so derogatory, that's so derogatory. But I'm like, if you think about it, when you were told to be seen and not heard, it wasn't telling you to shut up. They were saying, listen, learn from what you're seeing.
Absolutely.
Because I remember growing up and going with my grandparents, they had savings club meetings.
Yes,
And, looking at stuff like that. They never had debt. They never had bad credit. They never had these things. But we were too busy trying to be this and that, not paying attention. That's why credit and debt is so high now. Because people don't have those same values because they didn't listen. They didn't learn. And that's where the breakdown came in. I think the breakdown came in our generation because it became a split generation. You got Generation X and the millennials are only 5 years apart versus 10 to 20 years apart. So you had generation mixing with a generation. How can children raise children?
Right.
You didn't have adults raising children anymore. You had children now raising children, TV raising children, Dora the Explorer, Barney, all these things that people put you in front of so that you could. But we were so smart that we so dumb at the same time.
Right.
Because I got my bachelor's degree. However, I also got my master's in life. Because I understand what you're saying, where a lot of our generation have bachelors and masters, but can't hold a conversation to save their life with nobody else. Because no one taught them the basic fundamentals to just say, hey, how are you doing, versus writing a thesis statement.
Is that what up?
Right.
You just give me that head now. They don't even
Or
talk
my
now.
favorite
They
thing,
just
you see people at restaurants texting across the table on a date.
to each other.
Yeah, instead of actually communicating.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you try to have that conversation, it's broken. When we were talking about, being in the hood and not having the same opportunity as those across the tracks. My mother's home is a little town called Blytheville, Arkansas. And I was born there, and I thank God for our military background because they took me to Germany, so I missed out on that. But what I did understand that the sacrifices my mother made to get out of Blytheville was so that we could see better. What's wrong with the mindset in the hood is, one, they're not often allowed beyond their perimeter to see something different.
To cross the street.
They can't go. And when they go, they're frowned upon, or they're followed, or they're harassed, or they're ridiculed, or whatever. So they become a product of their environment because they can't see anything beyond that. Because they're not even allowed 5 miles down the road without being harassed, they get this at their youth. They get this figmentation that that's the way life outside of my hood is everywhere I go. And that's not it. So I think our role and responsibility is those of us, and I say it like that, those of us that have not necessarily arrived, but can walk around Ballantyne and Providence area and those Waxhaw, where we may be looked at, but we know how to handle ourselves. Right. We know not to snap off. We have enough legal sense. If we get into those areas and we begin to inundate it with our own businesses, with our own schools, don't you come from the hood, some people, as soon as I make it out, I'm going to leave the country and I'll send my money back to the family. No, I'll go down the road where I'm not welcome, and I'll create an entire organization of who my people are. So that when you see us, we actually just become a part of the fabric of who you are, and we're supporting one another. That's how I stay. I don't take my money to Billy's. I take it over there to Bob. Right.
As long as we support one another.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's the caveat.
That's what I'm saying. You've got a grocery store, but I've got a grocery store.
The minute something happens that I don't like, that they did,
right,
you burning down my store.
That is so true. We loot and destroy our own.
I ain't do nothing. But you.
But now hold on, wait a minute.
Store.
This is my PSA, and this is my PSA because I'm all about supporting Black businesses and supporting my community when we do it correctly.
Of course.
I don't do jackleg. I don't do side hustle. I don't do bootleg. I am all about my community because I'd rather give my $10 to Josephine instead of going over there and scrimping up my $10 to go see Jones, New York. I would rather do it.
But here's the reality. In white world, you got good businesses and bad businesses. In Black world, you got good businesses and bad businesses. So they exist in both worlds.
Both worlds.
Right.
But what do? We seek out the best in that world. So they exist, but just because you had one bad experience with a Black person, see what I'm saying? I ain't never gonna do this with Black people ever again.
Yeah, cause we just extra hard on each other. Whether it's the business-minded person being hard on the business that may not meet their standards, or whether it's that hood person being hard on a person trying to change and come up out of it. Because when I tried to change my life, some of my best friends tried to talk me out of it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And,
that's right.
When I was like, well, I don't want to smoke no more. I don't want to do this type of stuff no more. I want to eat better. I want to do healthy stuff.
Right.
That was a problem. Oh, who you think you are?
Oh, you think you
exactly.
better?
Yeah, you think you better than us. And that's a mentality that a lot of people, not all, because there are some beautiful spirited people in the the hood.
Of course.
But the larger mentality of the hood is,
the majority of
it's a mental cesspool. Of like you said, I don't know if it was on last segment, but money, gun, drug, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sex, drugs,
rock and roll.
Sex and rock and roll, but it's drugs, sex, and rap music.
Exactly.
So a lot of times you can't help those people.
Right.
You can just show them. You can just show them how you carry yourself and your actions.
Live by example.
And if they take hold to it like I did, because no matter where I was when I was on that type of time, I always wanted more. I always wanted to see more. I always wanted to do more. So I always had that like nagging at me, like you can be better than this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go through all of that. But a lot of my brothers and sisters in the hood, they don't have that. It's like they future is so dim.
And the reason why they don't have that is because of the generational curse, they treat children like elephants. A baby elephant, to train it, you put a heavy old chain around them and a stake in the ground. And he gonna try to get away, but obviously you got this big old chain, he ain't going nowhere. After he gets old, you take the chain away, you put a little thread. he still ain't going nowhere because he's been trained that
say.
you ain't leaving out of this 5-mile radius. You ain't leaving the block. You ain't, because I've chained you for all these years, and now you get 18, 19, 20. You can't tell me I'm grown. I can leave if I, but you don't want to leave now because you've been chained for 17 years.
Right.
So now you don't think there's anything else for you. And now you got the stinking thinking going on. And it only takes the renewing of the mind that actually gets you out of that state in order to discover what your purpose and passion is for living.
Yeah, because I mean, like, when it comes to us as a community, though, our worst is glorified to the masses. You know, everyone else, like, they have like the music that's bad, like on every race they have it, but that's pushed to the back burner with them.
That's right.
But our worst is glorified.
Well,
through the front street.
we're under the microscope 24/7.
That's right.
Whether good or bad, the black community is under a microscope 24/7. I don't care what it is, and especially when it comes to the bad.
Huh?
Can't say that.
No.
Of course you can.
I did something.
Oh, okay. But especially our bad is very microscoped, and people look at that, and I agree with you on that one, because the situation is, and the one thing I love about my people, and the one thing I can't say about my people is, we are the only nation of people on a whole that will beat each other down over any aspect of life.
Always.
Because like you were saying, whenever I went to school, I went to a private white school, and the first thing was always, so you think you uppity, you think you better, you think you good. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, I got a full ride scholarship. That's why I went where I went. Like, it had nothing to do with me being better. Livingston wasn't giving me no money. A&T was asking me for money, and FIFA was like, we'll pay for you to come to school. So that's where I went.
Sold.
Right.
Right.
But that's that generational thing from slavery.
Stinking thinking.
It literally was embedded and beat in. And I tell people,
Don't
often
leave the plantation.
that even though our ancestors have passed on, they passed that DNA
Down to us.
It is literally a genetic transition from one thing to the next, which is why children come out, 1-year-olds got cell phones and know how to swipe. Nobody showed them. Nobody taught them, but it is that inundated DNA that is creating life and passing that already
Damn.
knowledge, and process.
Could I speak on that? A lot of that stuff that they say, like that slavery DNA, it's been skewed, because if you look at like Americans, it's like American Aborigines from the darker ages. This was like from our first contact with them, like, cause like I said, a lot of us was already here. You know, a lot of us, we didn't come over here on no slave ships. But if you look at us then, you will see the royalty in us. Like, they have pictures of us from the 1800s, man, and them sisters look so elegant and so beautiful. And those brothers, they look so noble and you know, they have it together, and it gives you a sense of pride. But see, they take those pictures and push them to the back burner and give you the brother in the field with the big cotton bags on his back to push that mentality into your mind that this is what you are. But we have to realize, as a people, we were much more than that here.
All day, every day.
You know, we were much more than that.
We built the country.
And once if you see like us from the darker ages, you would see the country was built way before they came here. You know, when they destroyed a lot of our monuments, like in Virginia, they got a 6-foot tall statue of a black Indian, Powhatan. They got a book called America. From the darker ages, where they drew pictures of the natives, and they not like no dark skin with straight hair. Us. It was us running around with turkey feathers on our head, you know, but that's the history they push to the back, and they tell us we all just one big slave from Africa to push that mentality on us that we can't do nothing without them. But once we realized we had great things here, we had great things here, and we're doing great things here, and this is our land, then that it give you a sense of pride to want to do something about it instead of crying.
Right.
You know, and that's part of what I do too, give people a real understanding of all of the history. Yes, some percentage of us came over here on slave ships, but it's not like what they saying, like we were just this submissive people. Oh, we won't.
Right.
We were over here warring. Like we were over here warring with them. You know, we were over here getting it in with them, and we were doing good until integration. Once we were integrated and we felt like we we were a part of something. That's what started to soften us up. That's when, if you look at our television shows, that's the time when they started to change, and you started to see the roots, and all these shows telling you a slave, and you this, and you docile, and you know, turn the other cheek, because first we were.
But you know, and even with you saying that, because I was watching a documentary on Miami, the city of Miami. Miami is very fascinating, by the way. It's not just about South Beach and being skinny, because I'm never going to be skinny. But I was watching a documentary about it, and do you know that Miami itself was actually founded by Haitians and blacks and all these things, And what happened was the Jewish community got mad about it. So what they did was they put 95 through their community to break up the blacks and the color. And I say color, I hate that word, but I say color because it wasn't just African American. It was Haitian, it was Dominican, it was Cuban, it was all of us who were colored. So they got mad about that. Same thing with Black Wall Street right here in Durham, North Carolina, and Haytown. They put Durham Freeway right in the middle of it to break it up. Same thing with Wall Street in Oklahoma when they burnt it down. Same thing with New Orleans. A lot of people don't realize that New Orleans was not a slave city. It was a black city. The first mayor of New Orleans was black. The first governor of Louisiana was black. The first newspaper, the New Orleans, was it the something, because I can't remember the whole word of it, but was started by an African-American woman, not a man, but an African-American woman in New Orleans. So they took us, and like you said, dumbed us down, watered us down, took those images of those great, powerful things, even with Madame Toussaint. They went in as far as to make her a devil worshiper, make her a soothsayer, a teller of lies and psychic and all this other stuff. No, she was a prophetess. Like, let's be honest about it. It was like what she did. And she was also a woman that helped to rescue so many people. But we go to now, I'm talking to my 13-year-old nephew, and I asked him about Martin Luther King, and he's like, that's the day I get out of school. That's all you know?
Right.
And then it was like, he was like, well, they told me in school that he committed suicide. Who committed suicide, baby?
Right.
He didn't do that.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, my son, he had got in trouble because he had to write a essay up on Pocahontas. And so they asked him, because it was about John Smith, the white settler in Pocahontas. And the Indians were about to kill John Smith, and Pocahontas saved him and married him, and you know the story. And my son, he wrote in there where they should have let the Indians go ahead and do their thing. Shouldn't have saved them, because look at what's going on with the Indians now. You know, so my son, he got in trouble for it. And I had to go down there and speak with the teacher. And I was like, well, you know, he didn't say it in a gory manner. He didn't trip. He said what he felt, because that's what y'all asked him. What do you think should have happened? And he said what he thought should have happened.
Right.
Absolutely.
And now you telling them, no, that's wrong. So basically you're trying to force a certain mind frame and thought process on my son, and I will not let you do that.
Right.
So unless you reread this and come back with a better grade, I'm going to have to go to the higher ups about it. And you know what happened? He had a better grade, a much better grade.
Absolutely.
Because we don't challenge.
It takes parents to come and step in to situations, and that is what we're missing. Kids are just going through school, doing whatever they do, and then the parents get the grade, and all they want to know is you going to pass and get out of my house.
Thank you, Lordy. How can people hear more about you, your show, and your wisdom?
Well, you know, you can catch me at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings, Eastern Standard Time on WDRBmedia. Also, you can catch me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at IAME on all social media platforms.
Awesome.
Oh, you can tune in on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And you can also come by my salon at Bizness Salon downtown Greensboro on West McGee Street. I am there 24/7. Or you can catch any of the comedy shows that I do currently locally and abroad. You can go to my social media, which is Instagram is Mattie Simone 737, and Facebook is Mattie Bynum or Mattie Simone fan page.
Spell Mattie.
M-A-T-T, not M-A-D-D, M-A-T-T-I-E.
Excellent.
Spell Simone.
S-Y-M-O-N-E accent.
Excellent.
You heard it here on the Profit and Growth Hour on WDRB Media.
The voice
of the community. Hey, that was good. we got on a tangent there for a second.
I ain't gonna talk about my kids. My sister